welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am doing a part one of a two-part project share. And in this one, I am doing calendars. So I like to make calendars. I don't know why, I just really enjoy that. And Tailored Expressions has some of the best calendar products that they come out with. I think that's one of the things that they are actually known for. And I use quite a lot of their products throughout this series. So I'm going to share three of the projects I made with you today, and then I will share another 3 tomorrow. Well, in another video. So let's go ahead and get into it. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is some of the products that I have used in the past, and then one of the products that I used particularly for this year's calendars that I made. So in the past, I have used these. These are the Never Ending Calendar and large Never Ending Calendar, and these are from May Made It. She has a really good following here on YouTube, and I have used these to make calendars in the past. It's a perpetual calendar, so that means that you should be able to get every single combination that will ever be from these two sets. And I got both of them just because I wanted a larger and a smaller version. I don't know if these are still available. I would imagine so, but I know that there are inexpensive calendars that you can buy as far as already pre-made, or I will share with you today what I used to make these calendars. I didn't actually use these this year as far as the calendar portion. I did use the months. I didn't use this one at all, but I did use the months from this one to make my calendars this year. So that's just a product that I've used in the past. I've used it several times in the past, and what I would do is I would just stamp out one complete year, and then I would use my computer and I would scan it in so that I could make multiples without having to stamp out multiples. I hope that makes sense. I finally figured that out. I'm sure other people figured that out a lot sooner than I did, but that's what I would do when I was using these. So that's what I've used in the past. Let's talk about what I used this year. So this year, Jennifer Maker, she also has a tremendous following here on YouTube. She did one with her Cricut, and it is essentially any combination that you would ever need, and it was written out. You used your Cricut to write it out, and she had one, they were like easel, and they were like easel ones, and she had a cat, flowers, gnomes, I think. I didn't want those. I just wanted the calendar portion. So I used those for these two, and I use those for the ones that I will show you in the next part 2 of this series. And that was so nice. That was so nice. I could resize it. I could change the color just by changing my marker. And it was so nice. It was so nice. So I will link her video below and the direct link, hopefully, to this actual project that she gave. It was free, which was tremendous. Just so grateful that she came up with that and that she made it free. That's really awesome. Again, that was Jennifer Maker, and I will try to list her, at least that video or her website below, so that you can check that out. If you've got a Cricut or a Silhouette or a Brother Scan and Cut, you can use that. It works with any electronic die cut machine that can draw. So that's what I used to make just the calendar portion of this. I used different stamps to put the months on there. So let's just kind of dive into this one first. So again, this part was from Jennifer Maker. The months came from this stamp set, which I apologize, I do not know who made this. I don't remember where I got it, but I've had this in my stash for a very long time. I am sure there are companies out there that have stamps like this, And what's nice is this one also has the abbreviations for the other months. So that's very handy. And I've had this set for a very long time. But I used that for the months on this one. And then to do the stenciling, I used a Tailored Expressions stencil set that I used on calendars last year. And I used what inks did I use for this? I think I used Concord and Ninth inks for all of my inking and stenciling. One thing that I will say is that these stencils this calendar that I made is actually taller than what my stencils are. So let me finish flipping through this. There's December and there is November. And like I said, I used all Concord and Ninth inks, but this is the stencil set. And it's got 12 stencils in it. It's called Stencil. I didn't even say it right. Stencil Strips Calendar set of 12, again from Tailored Expressions. I got this last year, so I'm pretty sure this is still available as of the filming of this video. But it has just really great like stencils in it. And like I said, they were a little bit shorter, and I toyed with the idea of just like having it cover just the month part, or in just the calendar part or just the month part. But what I did is I actually made 2 of these, and so I stacked them one on top of the other, and I just very, very lightly would shift this down and try to make it to where, because like if you notice here, the snowflakes are cut off. So I tried to make it to where you wouldn't get that harsh line, or that harsh line fell where the 2 pieces met. And that seemed to work pretty well. So I just very lightly inked these. Like I said, there are 12 stencils in there. I briefly showed you as I flipped through that. And then I thought I kind of messed up on these because I was trying to intend to put them on something else and change their size, and I kind of goofed a little bit. So I decided that I would eventually attach these to like a notebook or a journal, and I made them a tear off. And I just did that with some reptile glue and some Dollar Tree clamps, let that dry, and then these can tear off and they flip completely open. And I will just glue this or adhere it to a notebook or journal that I end up making. So like I said, I made 2 of these, and these were using these products here and that free file from Jennifer Maker. So let's look at this one now. This one again used that free file from Jennifer Maker, and then this one used, where'd that stamp set go? This one used this stamp set for the months. And then for the images here, the backer piece, so the squares are from a die set for my stash. I used something from my stash to cut these out. And then I can't even think, mat. The mat is from just cardstock from my stash again. And I stenciled these twice using this set right here from Tailored Expressions again. I told you they've got some great stuff for calendars. And I just resized the calendar to fit what I wanted this to look like. And I went and used, these are inks from, I think, Simon's stamp. They're Positively Saturated line. The mats come from just cardstock in my stash. I get all of my colored cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse. I find that that is the most economical for me, and I like the quality. And I just used a squared stitched die from my stash to die cut them out and mat them. And this is the stencil set that I used. This is again from Tailored Expressions. This is called Designer Layering Stencils. This is the Perennial Scenes. So they have several stencils in this line, this Designer Layering Stencil line, that are large. These are 8.5 by 11. So I just grabbed some cardstock, white cardstock from my stash, and stenciled these, and they are layering, and this is what you get. They do give you kind of a some, I guess, color suggestions as well as kind of what these stencils look like. And they're stencils have, I'm going to pull one out. They have an etched line. I don't know if you can see that, but they have like an etched line for your 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. They also have these little registration squares that if you stencil those in and then just every time you lay another stencil down, you line that up, your stencils will line up no problem. You don't even have to think about it. So that is something that I really appreciate. There's also stenciling around each individual square, and each of these stencils will make 6 flowers. And I just did this twice. I could have changed up my color combination. I could have done each stencil, each like square a different color, but I just chose to kind of make it easy on myself. I really liked this color palette that I found off of Pinterest, and so I just did it this way. So I'll give you just kind of a quick flip through of what I did here. I really liked that color combination. I thought it was very unique, but it also made sense with like flowers and greenery and berries and that kind of thing. So I wasn't like totally in left field with what I chose, but I felt like these came together really, really nice. And once I die cut everything out, like the assembly was super, super quick. So that is the second calendar I made. Let's talk about, and that used these products here. Let's talk about the other one I made. So this is probably going to be our family calendar for next year. And I found the template for this, for the actual calendar part, it was blank. So I put the numbers in using this stamp set from Hero Arts. This is called something. Hero Arts CM118. I don't know if it has a name. Let's see here. Let's see if it has a name. I just don't see it. Calendar Pieces is what it's called. I've had this in my stash for a very long time as well. I don't know if it's still available, but it has the months. It has, it had years on it. It ended at 2021, so maybe they don't even make it anymore. But it had the months. It had the day of the week. It had third, first, morning and evening. It had times on there as well. It had little things that you could make little tabs with. And then of course it had each individual number separate, which is awesome. So I really enjoyed that. And that is what I used to put the numbers in. But this Sunday through Monday, like the actual calendar grid, I guess you could say, I found on Cricut Design Space. Somebody had made it and I resized it to fit, because this was actually supposed to be like a wall calendar. I obviously didn't want something that big. I wanted to be able to use an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper to do that and have it fit on there. So I just had my Cricut draw it at one time, and then I took it to my printer and scanned it in and let it print it out the rest, so that I didn't have to sit there and wait for my Cricut to draw it. Although if you don't have a like home printer, this is an option for you, because it really doesn't take very long for your Cricut to draw this out. So, and then the months again came from this stamp set, just because the size of this fit better. So it came from this stamp set. Then the flowers all came from Simon Says Stamp. So I graded my Simon Says Stamp stash, and all of my flowers came from that. I stamped the month and the flowers all in VersaFine Onyx Black ink. Actually, I think I lied. I think I stamped, no, I did. I stamped both the flowers and the months in Onyx, VersaFine Onyx Black ink. So these are the stamp sets that I used to stamp some flowers up at the top. This is Simon Says Stamp Spring Bouquet. I used both of these. I used this one. This is called Sketched Flowers. This is Thankful Magnolia, which is this one right here. This is Orchid Rose Bouquet. This one is Beautiful Flowers 2. And this one is Beautiful Flowers. So I used all of those to stamp flowers up at the top of each of these pages. I wanted to do one that was larger. It doesn't matter that there's stuff on the back. Please ignore that. Nobody's ever going to see the back of this. I wanted one that was larger, just because, like I said, this will probably be our family calendar. And so I wanted there to be space so that I could write, you know, spring break, Christmas break, band concert, track meet, softball, whatever, on there. And I stamped those in VersaFine Onyx Black ink just because I did want a very deep, rich black. I stamped everything toward the top, so where it kind of bled off of the page, just so that it looked, except for this one doesn't look very, very good, but I tried to center it and then have it kind of bleed off the top just to make it look a little more purposeful and natural. I could go back and color these in if I wanted to, or I could let my kids color them in. I could leave it black and white like it is. I could use it as a practice coloring page, although the only thing that I couldn't really do with this because of the paper I stamped it on is, excuse me, I couldn't do like watercolor or Zig Clean Color Rilla Brush markers or your Karen markers, just because those won't work with this particular paper. In my experience and in my opinion, they don't just work with this paper very well. So that is a flip through of that calendar and what I used with it. So like I said, this is part 1 of a 2-part series. I will have more calendars to share with you later. One of the things that I wanted quickly to mention with this one, if I decide to color it or leave it black and white, I probably will go through and bind this with my cinch machine just so that it is a flip calendar. And then I have little coil or little wires that are made for calendars, and I'll probably use that just so that this is easier to hang, I guess you could say, and put on display so our family can see everything that's going on. So that is the video for today. I appreciate you spending time with me. I hope you will check out part 2 when it airs or when it posts. And until then, we'll see you next time. Bye.